Hello and welcome, Essex County College family. This is the Virtual Cafe, episode 25. 25 Golden Memories. Today's episode is entitled Essential Success Skills for Essex Students, Part 2. This is a continuation of last week's episode, once again with our special guest, Dr. Robert Spellman. Dr. Spellman, how are you this morning?
Oh, terrific, and it's wonderful to see another day and be blessed with good health and also the great part being a part of Essex County College. And if I can do anything that's going to add, I used to always, my father used to tell me, I have friends that add and you can add too. So I'm trying to add. Don't know much, but what little I know, you listen to this old professor, you're going to get some good tips that will result in a lot of success. And that's all we want you to do is succeed, okay? So, Joe, thank you for inviting me once again.
Thank you for coming, as always, sir.
All right. Today we're going to talk about a subject that is very dear to me. We need to look at the history or some of the things that motivate us. Now, I've been talking about goals for several weeks, and goals are important. Reason why you get up in the morning, something you have to do. And Rick Warren wrote the book called Purpose-Driven Life, bestseller. Well, and then I'm always looking for new titles and what have you. I wrote down one this morning, you know, What It Takes. Somebody had it on their bookshelf in the newsreel this morning. So there's much happening out there. But that which keeps me motivated, or even when you don't feel well, if you got the right motivation, if you have the right direction that you want to go, you're going to maybe forget about the pain or the little suffering. You're going to go on and finish what you have to do. And every student, everyone that's in the purviews of my voice, you have to be motivated. This world is not going to come to you, my father told me. You know, they don't owe you anything, and sometimes you have to almost feel as if no one cares. So you have to move on and accomplish, but you have to have some drive. I had a basketball coach, and then we're going to move faster. And he said, I'm going to talk about success, but he said, it's three things you have to have. You have to have a brain, you have to have a heart, and then you have to have a motor somewhere back here behind you. And I'm sure you've seen people who were smart, but they didn't use the motor and they did not accomplish. Then you've seen people with the heart and the motivation, but they had so much drive that they succeeded. And you know my slogan I taught you before, the first time you fail is the last time you try. So what keeps you? Here you are, Dr. Spellman, old man. You should be talking about retirement. Well, I would be miserable sitting on a beach, retired, relaxed. And I met a man who, many years ago, he was the chairman of the board of trustees of Essex County College, Mort Siegler. He just passed away a couple of years ago. But he wanted to retire at 50. And he made his money, and part of it was in the construction of Essex County College. And he retired at age 50. And he lived to be about 86. But my point is, I saw him in New York right after he retired. I said, Mort, what are you doing? He was crossing the street. He said, Bob, I have to work. I can't stay home. He had a home in the Bahamas. I mean, he had a yacht. But he says, I have to work. And that's the way you need to look at your life. You have a work that goes beyond your career. You have children to raise. You may have a community center or a church that you're affiliated with. So at Essex, we teach you how to give back. We almost mandate that you don't come here just for yourself. You come here with the intention and the goal and the motivation of wanting to help someone that will come behind you or live in the same community that you would. So what are those factors which keep me constantly motivated? And it's really a group of inspiring heroes is the first one. And when you have heroes, you always have references. There's a man in the White House right now. He doesn't have many heroes. You never hear him talk about his heroes. And most of us, our mothers and our fathers are our heroes. And that's very important because they're not on television or in the New York Times, but they sacrificed for us. They worked for us. They took care of us. So you have to have what I call heroes, and you have to have what I call mentors, people who are constantly giving you tips on how to grow, how to increase your knowledge, how to improve your skills. And then you emulate that person and that person's life. And so I'm motivated by many people. Some I knew, some I've known, and some I didn't know. I'm inspired by Michelangelo, but he lived during the Renaissance. But I'm inspired by him, and I know his work. Whereas there are people who may not. I know a maid who saved up her money, and she worked in the man's house, and she was a maid for years. And finally, she went down South Carolina and built a $400,000 house and paid for it for cash. And she didn't have much education, but she had a goal. And that was inspiring to me. So goal setting, it's personal leadership. It's leading yourself. The challenge of being a creative advocate for people. And people need encouragement. If you're going to tear someone down, then you shouldn't go around them. You should be an encourager. And that's the thing at Essex. Everyone who works there will tell you that we're encouragers. We want to encourage you. Just to show you some of my heroes, of course, this is my whole family here, and some of them have passed. But how could you forget my father, who worked 3 jobs? He had a full-time job, and he had 3 part-time jobs. He worked out in the coal. He used to do income tax. He used to read water meters. Then my wife, she's a hero of mine, and she's been right there with me, a real friend. And then I've been inspired. I never thought in my lifetime I would see a black man become president of the United States, and he has shown everyone it could be done. It can be done. And then Dr. King. And then there's my dog, Ebony, that passed away, but she was quite a pet. And then my boys, twins, they're here today, but they graduated from Morehouse. But I admire them for what they do. One works for the VA, and the other one works as a pharmaceutical sales in dermatology and products. And so family, these are people who keep you motivated. Then there's this woman called Ma Burch, Dr. Mary Burch. She founded a group called the Leaguers in 1949. And there was a man, or there were some kids who were stealing her milk. She lived on 14th Street in Newark. She's married to a physician. And she couldn't have kids. She came from Dutch country. She was the first black to graduate from Chippingburg's University in Pennsylvania. She was the only one. She came to Newark and with her husband. But when they stole the milk, she set a trap for him and she caught him. And rather than calling the police, she invited them into her home, and she had some cookies, chocolate chip cookies, and punch and all. And she began to talk to them. And she started an organization called the Leaguers. And that organization has thousands of alumni today, one of which was one of those fellas that stole the milk. And his name was Congressman, he passed away, but his son is our congressman now in Newark, Congressman Donald Payne, his brother Bill Payne, the Payne family, all these families. But she started the Leaguers. And she served on many boards, Board of Education in Newark and what happened. But finally, she came and she was a community person, and she was on a board to determine where the community college would be located back in 1967. And some wanted it to go to Verona. And students, I'm here to tell you, if it hadn't been for this wonderful woman, but she stood up. There were 3 on the commission. 2 of them wanted to go to Verona. She felt that this college, our college, Essex County College, should be in Newark where it was needed. I'll never forget, that's her quote. And she established. Now, you will probably not hear too much. The Mary Burch Theater is named after her at the college, the main campus. But here's someone who affected your life, because we've been in Verona, and you have to drive way out there, go up 280. I'm telling you, a lot of students would not have made it. So there are people who we know about, and then there are people we don't know about. And here's that same Mrs. Burch with the former president of Essex County College, who was for 29 years, guided that school through all kinds of accreditation. And he is one of my best friends, and he is a scholar. He is a gentleman, but he inspired everyone that he led. When I was vice president for academic affairs, I was his boss. He was the dean of faculty. But he is a gracious person, and he is not just respected, but he was really embraced. We embraced him as a person of wisdom and caring for students. So here's Essex, and we have Dr. Monroe, who we appreciate his contribution to Essex County College. But if it wasn't for Ma Burch, there would be no Essex County College in Newark. Might be an Essex County College, but not in Newark. Now, there's that same Donald Payne, who took her milk, was the congressman for, he took Peter Rodino's place with President Obama and his brother Bill Payne and the son, and there's Dr. Yamba. All these people are my heroes, people who affected our lives. Another one is an alumnus of Essex that you should be familiar with. His name is Charles Woodruff. And when he left Essex, he went to Cornell University and he majored in architecture. Then he came back and worked for Frank Grad and Son. Then he established his own architectural firm. He moved in East Orange and Orange. And now he's very successful. He's designing the new St. James Church and the Leaguers building. He's designed all these buildings, but he's an alumnus of Essex County College, another hero. If he did it, he went through those same classes that you are going to. And now today, he's an architect par excellence and we can honor him because of what he did. So Dr. King said, a genuine leader is not a searcher for consciousness, but a molder of consensus. In other words, you just don't search for consensus, but you help mold consensus, bring people together. And when you're planning something, students, we were taught this, always remember this, SWOT. And when you do an analysis of yourself, you need to look at yourself because you're a very, very powerful person. You're much more creative than you think you are. You're much more gifted than you think you are. And so the first one in SWOT is strengths. What are your strengths? What do you do well? What do you do better than anyone else? Then comes the W. What are your weaknesses? What are the areas that you need improvement? You have to be honest with yourself about all of these. And then you say, okay, now with my strengths and my weaknesses, what are my opportunities? What can I do? I have a friend who, I don't think he got out of the 9th grade, and they used to laugh at him. Matter of fact, he used to call police, or he would say, instead of shrubbery, he'd say scrubbery. His mother taught him how to clean and how to use cleaning materials. And he had a wax machine. And all of a sudden, he got laid off, and he had a new mortgage. And he went around the gas stations and started up cleaning bathrooms and gas stations, and started waxing floors in different places. And now he has 8 trucks, and he employs 14 people, and he is a very, very wealthy man. So it's not always your degrees that make you, but it's that engine, that motor behind you, that motive. And he's a brilliant man. And I knew him, and he's still a great friend of mine. And then you have to look at the threats. Right now, students, we have been this threatened in years. We're threatened with this pandemic. We're threatened with economic woes. Today, they just added another 1.4 million people who applied for unemployment. Many kinds of unemployment will run out in July. And the jobs, many of them that used to be, won't be back. And a big group of jobs are what we call service jobs, restaurants, cleaning, other sorts of things. So therefore, you've got to be on the cutting edge now. Where am I going? What kind of things can I do? And take it from your old professor here, Dr. Spellman. You need 2. You need to approach it from 2 points of view. Back in the 30s, 2 great Black educators argued over the subject of the best education for a Black man or a Black woman. Today we call ourselves, obviously, African American. What was the best education? So Booker T. Washington, who was down at Tuskegee, he felt that he was focusing on trades. And W.E.B. Du Bois felt that a classical education, one liberal arts education, one like you may be receiving at Essex, was important. Well, let me tell you, both are super important today. You need skills, and you need a classical education. You need to talk and know about Wordsworth. You need to talk and know about Tolstoy. You need to talk about Shakespeare or Michelangelo or the great poets, the great novel, the heroes who have written. And my point is that combining the 2 with your skill. So I like publishing. I like photography. So I publish a magazine, to be frank with you. In addition to being a professor at Essex, you know, I'm a pastor of a church. I have to do lots of things. So you become what I call versatile. You do many things. And to me, I'm living the right life of a wealthy person, not with money. I'm not talking about money, but I paint, do paintings, have photography. I'm able to teach where you go to college. I'm able to influence minds. I'm able to be a pastor and a shepherd. And there's certain jobs I love. One is being a husband. Another one is being a father. But one of the greatest jobs I've ever had was to be a grandfather. So you can tell by the enthusiasm in my voice that living is a great thing. And Dr. King said the ultimate measure of a man is not when he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. And right now we're in controversy. A general that walked out of the White House the other day, he came back and he said, "I'm sorry, I never should have done that." He was able to admit a mistake. And that's another key, is to if you make a mistake, at least acknowledge it within yourself. Don't believe that it's just not true. And you have to have faith in yourself. You got to know, you got to believe in yourself that you are as brilliant as anyone else. There's no one superior to you. There is no one in this whole world like you. You're an individual. You are super. And last week, when we covered these points, we talked about a number of them. You have to be able to communicate. You have to be able to read. You have to be able to write. You should know Microsoft Word and Microsoft Excel and PowerPoint. And so therefore, if you don't know them, we have all kinds. We have the Commons up on the 4th floor. We have all kinds of computer access where you can learn how to type and write and do anything. You can find out how to do anything, even when you use YouTube. It's the how-tos of learning. And once you master the how-tos of learning, then you are a real educated person. So last week, I didn't talk too much about this one, but down here below, you got to get a foundation. Look down on the bottom, you'll see reading, writing, thinking, communicating, being perceptive. In other words, looking around you and knowing and seeing. I help try to get students to do that at Essex and up in the police academy. There's someone used to run through, and then they had to describe that person from eye color to weight to everything. Be more perceptive. That's our awareness of the world around us and our thinking, our communicating. Then you get your goal setting systems in and those action procedures. And I said before, a goal without an action plan is a wish. That's all it is. So all it is, a wish. And so there's that word, wherewithal to confront it all. The wherewithal to confront it all. And that's where you can confront pressures and job career challenges and family challenges and what I call life's icebergs and problems and obstacles. And every goal has an obstacle. Sometimes it's money, sometimes it's time, sometimes it's physical capability. But goal setting is a way of you leading yourself. Not just to any destination. Down there where you see the sun setting, there has to be a specific destination. We're always required, and we can always remember, we don't have to be first, but we do have to finish in order to hit the mark. You're not required to be first all the time, but you are required to finish. You are super. You are a genius. You have your own talents and you have your own gifts, and you need to discover them about yourself. So this morning, I didn't concentrate too much on the skills as much as trying to get you to see yourself and your own potential, your mind, your creativity, your talents. What are things that you should try? Have you ever written a poem? Have you ever painted a painting? Have you ever created a film or a document? Have you ever written a short story? Have you ever written a novel? At one time there, I wanted to write some skits for Saturday Night Live that I thought, because I have a sense of humor. But the bottom line is, you've got to go forward. There's no turning back. You got to go forward, and you are a student for the rest of your life. It's not a condemnation. That's a compliment. You are a student for the rest of your life. Education is continuous, and it's lifelong. And you have to know that it's not just a preparation for life. Education is life itself. And John Dewey said that many years ago. You got to map out that direction. Can't go in every direction. You got to go in one direction. And you have to be persistent. It's going to get dark. It's going to get rainy. It's going to get stormy in life. You're going to have financial problems. You're going to have bills that show up. And an old preacher taught me this. I was very interested. And he used to go in the sailboat. And as you know, if it's the way, if you set your sails up right and the wind in relationship to it, then you're going to move. So he says, it's not the way the wind is blowing. In other words, wind can be blowing against you. But if you set your sail right, you're going to move. And right now, the winds of threats are around us. The pandemic is around us. Economic chaos is around us. Stock market is going down. All kinds of things. But now, how are you going to set your sail to move on? So the bottom line, turning back is not an option. So, Joe, it's a lot of fun.
Hey, we appreciate you being on the show, Doc, as always. Students, I hope you paid attention during that presentation, because I sure did. It made me think about my weaknesses. It made me think about things that motivate me. Like, I'll give you an example. I'm very, very inspired and influenced by not only my parents, but by a British heavy metal band called Black Sabbath. Now, the original lineup of Black Sabbath ceased to be in 1978. That was 6 years before I was even born. So one of my main inspirations comes from a group of musicians who were not even playing in their original form by the time I was alive, let alone old enough to attend a concert. But they've been an inspiration to me ever since in my music and in my path, and they've helped guide it and shape some of the things that I've done in my life, in addition to strong figures like your folks or a cousin that you love very much, or an aunt or a beloved aunt or an uncle that has also guided you. Whoever was there, you got to keep these people in your mind. So when things do get tough and when things don't come out the exact specific way that you would like, remember that these people were there for you and these people struggled. Keep those struggles in mind, and it will empower you to keep moving on. Doc Spellman, do you have any final words for our students today?
Well, it's just been a pleasure. I hope I've helped someone. Remember, this is on YouTube, and you can listen to it. You can share it with your friends. And it's not just me. I think that this Campus Cafe is a phenomenal thing. I want to give Mr. Ott my congratulations. It's a way of information flow outside the classroom. In other words, most of your learning skills will not be in the classroom. It's going to be outside of the classroom. Most of your college learning can be outside of the classroom. And so, Joe, I appreciate it so very much, having the invitation among so many other great faculty we have at Essex County College, but you invited me, and I appreciate it so very much.
Sir, we appreciate having you. You have a lifelong invitation to anything that I do, anything that Student Life does, in any episode of the Virtual Cafe. We want to thank all of you at home for tuning in. We hope you're doing well. We hope your family is doing well. All the episodes here of Season 1 of the Virtual Cafe are available on YouTube. Check it out. There's plenty of resources, plenty of awesome topics that we've covered this semester. So please check it out, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Take care.